Did you guys know about this Frank Turek guy, this pastor, who was in the SUV when Charlie Kirk, after he got shot, supposedly shot and killed? He was in the SUV where Charlie died. And have you heard about the necklace that Frank Turek took off of Charlie Kirk's neck and took home with him? Interesting. The same necklace that Erica Kirk shouted out to Charlie as he left that day. "Don't forget your necklace, honey." What's up with this necklace? Well, people who look into it, when they analyze the footage, it doesn't look like a shot. We already know that bullet couldn't have done the shot. There's no exit wound. They took down the footage from behind him, etc., etc. There's lots of, what are the chances that that guy would be able to shoot from that far? Impossible. Assemble it, reassemble it, get down, reassemble it again, change his clothes. It's all nonsense. And there's issues in the court around the guy who they say allegedly shot the shot of Charlie. But people have analyzed it and they say it looks like some sort of device that went off and exploded, and it had to do with the necklace. Why is there a Christian pastor in the SUV with Charlie Kirk? Why did he take the said necklace off his neck and take it? Shouldn't the FBI have that necklace? I don't care what it is. It doesn't have to be a potential weapon. Anything on the body of the person who was just killed is evidence, wouldn't you think? Well, yes, obviously, that's how law enforcement works. That's how courts work and crime scenes work. Yes, that's evidence. He took evidence from the victim and brought it home with him. Why is he even allowed in that SUV? Did you know that medics, if you look at the video, there are medics who the university staff had. They were trying to get into the SUV. The people refused those medics help on Charlie Kirk. Did you know that when they drove Charlie Kirk to the hospital, they passed a hospital on the way? They drove to the furthest hospital and they claim, we went to the closest hospital. But when you look out on the map, they didn't. Why, after he's shot, are they rushing him into a black SUV? First of all, why is he not in an ambulance like a normal person? Right? Erica Kirk, why is she saying, "Take this necklace"? I think he never wore the necklace before or something. Why is she screaming, "Don't forget this, don't forget this," with her bride of Chucky eyes? "Don't forget this, honey!" Right? And then why does it look like something explodes from his neck? Looks nothing like a shot. Why, if you watch the footage, do you see a guy going like this, right in the front, a security detail, I believe it was, presses something right when you hear the shot? Why is he pressing something right when I hear the shot? Is that a fake shot? Is that a maneuver to make this explode? And Frank Turek, who I don't trust, who to me looks like, maybe I should keep my mouth shut, but he looks like a wolf in sheep's clothing, I'll tell you that much. How could a pastor be okay with this? Don't you think he might have knew? Who's the best person there to give the murder weapon to and have him saunter off into the distance? Well, obviously the pastor, right? You don't want any of these people, they're going to maybe find out, the holy Christian guy, give it to him, he'll go off, and we'll never see it again. Why would Franklin Kirk, if he knew this, why would he be okay with this? Are you insinuating that Franklin Kirk knew and he was in on it? Why would a Christian pastor possibly be okay with Charlie Kirk being taken out? Well, Charlie Kirk was going against Israel. Franklin Kirk worships Israel. Talk to your any-day pastor this day and age. If you say that somebody is going against Israel and somebody else is going to take him out, that the Israeli government with some other people, let's say, there are people that are going to get together, they're going to take this guy out because he's a threat to Israel. Do you think that any pastor in this modern day system, I don't mean every single pastor, but the majority of these pastors in these sold out Christian Zionist churches, if you tell them that scenario, will they condemn it? Will they say that's okay? I guarantee you they will say, well, yeah, he's going against God's people. So he might have had to have been taken out. Hence why I'm giving you the explanation of how Franklin Kirk, a Christian, could be okay with Charlie Kirk being just taken out and then take the murder weapon and disappear. Well, that's why, because they're going against Israel. And you want to sit there and tell me that's God's people and you're supporting God's people? Or are you supporting the Antichrist? Well, gee, it's not that hard to figure out. If you're killing other Christians in broad daylight with the system that's bringing in the beast system and bringing in the third temple in Israel and bringing in the Antichrist, and you're justifying it and you're taking the murder weapon and disappearing, I think you're on the side of evil. I'm pretty sure you're on the side of evil. Make it make sense, guys. And they're shutting down all looking into this. They're shutting down any kind of questioning. Then they pave over the murder scene. Apparently there was a pentagram on there, or maybe it was a Star of Remphan, aka Star of David. Some people say it was a menorah. And Charlie Kirk was right in the middle of the menorah. He was a sacrifice. Look at the videos of Charlie before he got taken out and how he turned on Israel. Look at the videos before that when he was super duper pro-Israel, just like everybody else in the right wing. Oh yeah, Israel, they're doing self-defense and, they use human shields, those Palestinians, those babies, those poor toddlers, they were human shields. All that garbage, lies, complete bull. Well, look at the videos right before. Oh, he started changing his tune. He started having David Smith on, who talked about Israel's creating a genocide. And everybody was booing him down. This was at Charlie Kirk's event. And Charlie Kirk quieted the crowd and said, no, let him speak. Let's listen. You're not allowed to listen to that idea. You're not allowed to think that Israel's maybe doing some evil and that maybe they're not the good guys. From what I understand, he was given a talking to. And they said to him, hey, you need to get in line. And this happened right before this event. If you watch the video of Franklin Turek going out on the stage and sharing his experience of the last moments of Charlie, watch that video and tell me you don't think this guy is lying and is a really evil. He's really involved in some evil. I don't know, maybe he's a saved Christian and he's not evil. He's a spirit-filled child of God and he's a saint, okay? But even if you are that, if you do evil, that's evil, right? And if someone said, well, you're evil for doing that, I don't think anybody would disagree with that. If you do evil, you're evil. Now you might say, well, that's just my flesh, my spirit is saved. Yeah, okay, fine, I agree. Or there's the other option that he's not even a Christian. He's just doing, I don't know. I've seen his videos, I like his stuff, I like his debates. Oftentimes I don't agree with his responses, but sometimes I do, and I've seen his stuff all the time. It's shocking. Frank Turek, major pastor, he's the one who goes into the universities and debates with people or opens up for questions. It's a good forum. Why would he take Charlie Kirk's necklace that people are saying exploded and then bring it home with him? This is a crime scene. Wouldn't you be like, who shot him? Don't touch the body, right? And he has this whole story about, we were driving in with Charlie Kirk and we were looking at the drone footage. Drone footage? The head security detail, who was supposed to protect Charlie Kirk, who failed at his job, is now suing Candace Owens. He claims there were no drones used. He says we weren't allowed to. Actually, they were allowed to, and drones were being used, according to Franklin Turek. And this happens when you're caught in a lie, right? When you're in a conspiracy, right? When with a group, you've decided to do a crime. That's what a conspiracy is. A group does a crime. And you all have to keep it secret. You all have to keep it. You're going to mess up. You're going to give information. That's why police, when they find a crime, they separate the parties. Right? And you ask their version of the story. And then you ask the other people the version of the story. You're going to know who's telling the truth, because if they're telling the truth, the stories are going to align. If they're lying, they're going to start to mess up and tell different things. Now, we know that sometimes there's details that may be different, but the overall story is corroborated by those people. And that's how you know, for example, with the Gospels. There's small details, but the whole story is corroborated. That's why people say the Gospels of the Bible are actually proves the way that there's just little inconsistencies, but overall they're saying the same things happened. That actually proves its validity, because people remember things different ways. But in the case of people covering up for lies, they're going to say major, you can't mess that up. Oh, one person said we had drone footage and the other person said there were no drones allowed. We didn't use them. And if we did, we could have caught them and stopped it. That's impossible. That's a lie. So one of them is lying. In this case, for the drone, I don't think Franklin is lying. I think he's telling the truth. But the other guy's lying. So he says, oh, we were watching the drone footage, and I said, oh, I don't know, Charlie. I see all these high buildings. I don't know, Charlie. Are you kidding me? You want me to believe that on the very day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, you rode in the SUV with him and warned him, like, oh, I don't know, I think something might happen. Did you ever say that before? Was it just that day that you said that? Why would you say that? Oh, there's high buildings. I don't know. High buildings. Oh, gee. Oh, I wasn't tipped off to the official story. That Tyler Robinson would shoot somebody, a trans guy, of course, would, shoot somebody from a high building. Oh, it's not that I'm going to say the exact talking point of what we're going to say after we kill you. Make it make sense, guys. If I'm wrong, prove it wrong. Show the evidence. But no, this security detail, who obviously failed at his job, is suing Candace Owens. He's not suing the school or the people for not letting him use drones or the people who actually aided in the murder of Charlie Kirk. He's going after Candace Owens for asking questions about what happened. Same thing with Erica Kirk. She was so quick to forgive the killer and won't forgive Candace Owens for asking questions about the murder. And people want to say, oh, how dare you? And again, because Erica Kirk is put up as this pariah figure in the church, it's all together. It's all this Israel worship, pro-Antichrist stuff. How dare you? She's the grieving widow. Oh, you mean like in iPeg Goat 2? That grieving widow? Oh, yeah, you mean in the occult symbolism? They have to have a grieving widow figure that you respect and don't question and brings in the deception? Oh, yeah, I know she's that grieving widow. But you're trying to tell me, just common sense, if your husband is murdered and somebody's asking questions about it, looking at the organization, everything, you're going to get mad at that person? Your husband was murdered. You're upset. Wouldn't you want to know what happened? No, they found the killer and this to him, and I forgive him, but I don't forgive you, Candace Owens, for asking other questions. You're implicit. You're obviously involved. I mean, this is not rocket science, right? Talk to anybody who studies crime, or if this was actually being investigated properly, we would know what was going on. And this is not even, you guys know if you've looked into it, right? This is not even this is the surface. This is not even like the deep stuff. I mean, this actually is the deep stuff, but I mean, there's so much more to it that Candace has brought up. Interviews she's had with people who have put Erica Kirk at this government base right before that, and other things, and people involved in TPUSA being involved in this whole thing. So, yeah, Charlie wasn't playing ball. He was going and realizing, and I mean, look at these videos where he talks about Israel. He's starting to wake up. He's like, oh, I always supported Israel, but now look at the video when he talks about Megyn Kelly and him being called anti-Semitic because all of a sudden they don't agree 100% with Israel does, and they have a little criticism of what they, oh, God forbid, you criticize the poor chosen people. You have to allow them to do all kinds of genocide and evil. That's your Christian duty. Don't people realize that you're being hoodwinked, you're being bamboozled? As Malcolm X said, we've been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled by these Frank Tureks of the world, by these satanic Luciferian pastors who claim Christ and do all kinds of wickedness and evil in the name of God. Sheesh. That's just one story. We could keep going on and on and on and on. Why would you take why would you take something off the bot? I can't. The only way it makes sense is the obvious. Occam's razor, A equals B, B equals C. They were all in on it. And again, people might say, how could you say that about a Christian pastor would do that? He went against Israel. He's a sacrificial lamb. You don't go against Israel. Israel's God's people, and God's going to strike you down. Matter of fact, I wouldn't doubt that Frank Turek, if he was involved, probably convinced himself that this was the wrath of God. Well, they're using that weapon and that thing and that thing and that person as the wrath of God. God's using those people. That's the wrath of God. Give me that necklace. I'm out of here. I don't know why I'm giving him that accent. He doesn't really have an accent, but why would you take that? What are you doing? Sorry, guys. Craziness out here. And more information just keeps coming out. Watch the video that Jimmy Dore just put out. That's the video he shows where they won't let the medics in. If this was any other person who was actually just shot, like, why would you shove him into a black SUV and just drive him to, like, a church hospital that's 10 minutes away when there's another hospital on the way? Why wouldn't you try to do CPR? And of course, they say that story. Oh, we tried to save him. Even with Franklin Turk, when he comes out on the stage and talks about Charlie Kirk's last, he does like some fake half tear, but then he decides, well, I'm not going to cry because it's obviously too fake. And then he goes on to say, oh, you know, we tried to save him and he was just looking somewhere else. And, you know, but I found out later that Charlie didn't feel any pain when he died. Okay. Yeah, okay, buddy. You don't think he felt pain? He died instantly. We found it, but we didn't know, so we were just trying to revive him. These people are so evil. I'm so sick of this world. But hey, there's always been evil, and we're going to do what we're going to do. We got to stay with Christ, believe in him. You were saved. He died for your sins and rose again. A lot of deception going on.